I'm making plays. I'm making hits. I'm making hits. I'm making plays. I'm making plays. I never miss. I never miss. Haters gon' hate. Yeah, they gon' hate. But look at the clips. Just look at the clip. At the end of the day, I was made for this shit. Dog, I was made for this shit. Nothing but green grass in my view. Hit him for 50 yards up the middle. All of my rushes are ready to move. Tell your quarterback, head on the swivel. Came all this way, so we hungry as hell. If we ain't winning, we ain't leaving the field. Overtime, now the shit getting real. Double overtime, shoot for the kill. I put it all on my shoulders. Give 100 till it's over. All of this ice in my veins. Tell me, how could there be anyone colder?
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome to Arrowhead PM, powered by you guys, Chiefs Kingdom. This is the penultimate episode, the Super Bowl preview, Super Bowl 59, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the rematch of Super Bowl 57. It is literally all led up to this. We got DG, we got Ethan, we possibly have Trizzy, but we'll see.
A little bit.
But we got a lot to talk about. Not a lot of film this week, to be honest, unless you want to watch some, Pro Bowl highlights, but we're not going to do that because the Chiefs don't know what the Pro Bowl's like. So, but it's going to be an awesome game in New Orleans. They just had some of their media stuff. Some interesting questions have been asked at these media things. Speaking of the devil, Trezay is in the house. We got him in the house. And man, just Ethan, your hype level for this game on Sunday.
Man, I mean, I'm excited. I sit here and I think about all the times, like all the down times, and the fact that we're back here for the third Super Bowl in 3 years. Like, man, I never in my life imagined us being at this point. I can't wait for it to get here. Cannot wait for Sunday. I didn't even buy my AFC West champs shirt not AFC West champs. Sorry, definitely didn't buy that. But I didn't buy my AFC Championship gear this year. And a part of me is like, man, how spoiled are we? Like, 10 years ago, I would have ran to this store to get that gear. And now I'm like, man, nah, I'm going to wait for the Super Bowl gear. So, I'm excited, like I said, just ready for it to get here.
Hell yeah. Trizzy, you and DG have been looting in some of these spaces. I've been told, hearing some talk.
Perusing.
Got any thing to report from the other side of the fence?
I mean, nothing new that we don't hear every other week during the regular season. Beginning of the playoffs, their team can't win. I mean, our team can't win. They can't lose. Just a whole bunch of, excuses and about rosters and how we're not going to be able to do this and you don't have anybody to replace them, so who's going to do that? And, little cow jump over the moon, grab the spoon, try to thump the cheese over the, same stuff, man. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm not going to say that I'm just surprised because, when this is all said and done, I have a tweet that I'd like to share with everybody that I made before I even discovered you guys or knew what Spaces was. And, when I was just a lone soul on Twitter tweeting away about the Chiefs, I kind of seen the Chiefs being here one day. But, I won't toot my own horn just yet. I'll wait for Sunday. But, I thought, with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, with the big three in place with him, Kelsey and Chris Jones, you got three Hall of Famers at every, I ain't gonna say every level, but important parts of a game. And, Andy Reid was able to put some complimentary guys around us to, go on runs and have some good teams. Hasn't started with just Worthy. It's been guys like Sammy Watkins. It's been guys like Brian Pringle. Those guys kind of started the wave, and then you go get a hard man. You try to fill some roles, and bring in Tony, Scott Moore. Some of those guys have contributed. MVS, right? And we just seen the personnel change from year to year. The draft, we seen these young guys contribute, at a high level. So, just a full throttle, with this team. It's not just, one year is Patrick Mahomes having a crazy run. One year is the defense having a crazy run. This year, it's a full team effort from start to finish. And they really just kind of defining what it means to be great, to pick up every day. And after a back-to-back Super Bowl, and a lot of people make excuses, and you even got Adam Schefter tweeting about the refs. Like, imagine that. Like, he's supposed to be reporting NFL news and updates, and he's jacking the conspiracies off. So it was crazy, to be in this era of football. You would have told me 10 years ago we'd be here, I probably would have popped you real quick. But it's amazing to be here. I'm excited for the guys. The Chiefs organization, the city as a whole. To be able to be a part of this historic feature. I've been watching Chiefs football and football in general for a long time, and I've never seen nothing like this before. And I'm just grateful that it's happening in my city. Chiefs,
Amen to
nigga.
that, man. Amen to that. DG. We've said all year that this team has the ability to get to the promised land, to be able to knock on the footsteps of history and cement themselves for greatness by getting to a third straight Super Bowl. This maybe it might be a little too premature to talk about like the season overall in general, but based off how this season has gone, what do you think has been like the theme of this year, other than like the three-peat, in terms of like the regular season and how they've been approaching the season in general?
Situational awareness. The Chiefs are the best situational team in the league. They proved it all year. I know a lot of people want to say, "Oh, the one y'all won how many one score games and blah blah blah." Like winning is winning. When did winning? I'm trying to understand. When you were a kid and you were playing, I'm pretty sure most of y'all played sports at some point when you were a kid, or high school, whatever. Did it really matter to you ever if you won by 1 point or 20 points or 40 points or higher? Did your stats like really matter? Did it matter if you made three threes in a game or something like that? Like, the main goal for you stepping out there was to win. I want to be the winner at the end of the day. I don't care about what margin it is. I don't care how many points I put up. I don't care about none of that. I want to win. I want to be on a winning team because winning feels great. The
Amen to
Chiefs
that.
all year have proven to you that even it doesn't matter how they do it or how they want to do it or whatever. If you get into a close game with them, you're not beating them. And the reason for that is because they're not going to beat themselves, but you are. You're going to figure out a way because you know that. You in the back of your mind as an opponent, you know that. You know that in your mind the Chiefs aren't going to beat themselves. So we got to match that energy. And when you do, you start playing a little bit tighter. Things get a little bit, the pressure turns up. And I think the Chiefs don't just, at points in times, they don't blink. And I know a lot of that has to do with the fact that who they have at quarterback, who they have at head coach, who they have at tight end, who they have on their defensive side, the experience. You can say anything you want about our young guys or whatever. I know on the Eagles side they got some guys that haven't been to this game before or whatever. I'm not gonna say that they're not ready or anything like that because they've all probably played in big games at some point in their lives or whatever. But this 2022 class knows nothing but playing in the Super Bowl. So to think that they're not going to be prepared for this moment, I don't understand how people can conjure that up in their mind. So the theme all year has been the Chiefs' ability to have situational awareness, to be aware of the moment and what they're doing and where they're in, whether it's fourth quarter, third and four, we need to pick up this first down, whatever. You know, they've been good in all of those moments. I always say it's the little minor details that other teams don't do that the Chiefs execute on. Of course, yeah, you may have had more penalties or whatever, but in the last game or whatever, on 4th and 1, you don't convert.
I mean,
That's my problem. That's why is that my issue. On 4th and 5, you had a chance to win the game. 4th and 5. All you gotta do is pick up 5 yards. You know, and
I
you
mean,
slide your protection to the right, which in a sense is probably pretty smart to do. Chris Jones is on that side or whatever, but you allow the blitz to come up the middle on you. You don't account for that. It just it's just when they get into the Chiefs, when they get into certain situations, they know how to execute and what play to call at that point in time, and a lot of that reflects on who their coaching staff is and how bought in every player on that 53-man roster has been this year.
man, how demoralizing is it for other teams knowing that you have to go in that game, you have to execute at the highest level you can play, you have to play mistake-free football just to beat the Chiefs. And the second that you make a mistake, that butthole starts to tighten up a little bit, and you just, I mean, man, like how do you
Listen,
beat it after that?
we
And the
we
thing
we
is, it's not, and you're still tightening up even if the Chiefs also make a mistake,
Yep.
because then you have to capitalize on the mistake. And if you don't capitalize on the mistake, they get the ball back.
uh, we've seen this before. We've been down this road before, guys. This ain't nothing new. Tom Brady and them did it for 2 damn decades.
Yep.
You know, and people can say what they want about after the first three he won. He still went back to the Super Bowl with those teams or whatever. Even though Eli Manning got them twice, but we've seen this thing before. When you used to literally tell yourself, if you're going to Foxborough and you're gonna play Tom Brady and them, you better play a perfect game. You better play your best game. Because one thing's for sure. They're gonna execute. They're not gonna beat themselves. Yeah.
1000%.
And we seen the Chiefs go up there on opening night and do it. Play their best game. You know? But when it got to January, it got to February,
Before Mahomes showed up, things got
that
real tight.
yes, that notch turns up just a little bit more, and it goes off of who is representing your team. You know, people can say what they want about Brady, about all the talent, and he wasn't as talented, and all those defenses were great, and blah blah blah. Like the back end of that man's career, he was phenomenal, especially in certain situations. A minute 23 left on the clock with the ball in his hands. I don't want to see 12 on the field. Just the same way as now is I don't want to see 15 on the field. If I'm an opposing fan, if you're a Chiefs fan, you love it. But
Bro,
it, this game boils down to, and this is the biggest game of the year. It boils down to situations. What are you gonna do in certain situations? Yes, Saquon, great player, man.
Bad
Probably,
man.
in my opinion, has been the best running back in the league.
hands down.
You know, and I said that, and I know the year that CMC had last year or whatever was a great year, whatever. I still think Saquon is better. I'm sorry, you know, but in a certain when I get him into a certain situation, how's he gonna handle that? How are we gonna handle that? You know,
1000%, man.
like that's what this game comes down to. That's pretty much it, man.
Dude, you have hit it on the nail on the head. And, I wasn't here last week to talk about the AFC Championship game or any of the stuff that was talked about. I feel like for this year specifically, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of like the Super Bowl and how the Chiefs should tackle this shit and stuff. But I think what the media, and I hate criticizing the media because at some point it's just like, all right, dude, we can't blame the media for everything. There's narratives for a reason, this, that, and the other. I just feel like this year specifically, the three-peat to people, the idea faded away after week 6. It was about the Lions. It was about the Ravens offense. It was about the Bills having the best year. It was also about the Eagles. It was about all these teams like the Pittsburgh being able to overcome, thinking they were not going to even make the playoffs. It was the Vikings having the best year that they've had. And for the Chiefs, it was just like, they don't look that great. They're not, they're not the old Chiefs. Even though we had this same conversation last year, this isn't the old Chiefs. We need to stop. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, but to have 2 years prior, you had the most prolific offense in the league. And now you're nostalgic for that 2 years later. Like, what are we doing here? This is a different Chiefs team. And I think what everyone has been focusing on is like, oh, it's 1-score game, 17 straight. At some point, your luck goes out. They're like the 2022 Vikings or the 2020 Steelers. We heard all this shit. We heard that 1-score games isn't a great stat to have, or point differential isn't a great. We have the lowest point differential since the New York Giants won their Super Bowl and they got in through the wild card. Okay, we're 15-2. I'm not even talking about the ref stuff. I'm not talking about the rigged Taylor Swift conspiracy theory that everybody has in their freaking mind. I'm talking about how we decided last Super Bowl 2 things. I will never doubt Patrick Mahomes ever again, and I will never doubt this Chiefs team ever again. And lo and behold, we did that all year. And, we were critical of our team too. Pat didn't have the best year. We'll be honest. I'll be the first to say it. I thought Mahomes, that first half of the season, didn't look that great. And that's not because I don't think he's a great player. Just, his level of greatness is so high that some players' good seasons are bad seasons for him, right? Like his worst season is a lot of people's best season, and that's saying something. But what we have done is we have tried to make everything else about the Chiefs. I get it. It's the same thing that happened with Brady. We want something new. Everyone wants something new. People don't like dynasties until they're gone. It's just the reality of the situation. Happened with the Bulls. It happened with the Warriors. It happened with, even to this day, no matter how you feel about the guy, LeBron for 8 straight seasons going to a finals, becoming his own dynasty. You know what? People fucking miss that because he was at his apex and led teams to finals. So what this season to me is not listening to the noise and proving that they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Now, I'm not saying they did the whole, we're practicing for the regular season and then when the postseason comes, because there's obvious some kinks that needed to be worked out. Like, it's obvious. And we had the most, other than the Lions, we had the most injuries in the league. Like, and we addressed them perfectly. But to be able to sit there and say this team's no good, that, their real record should be 8-9 based on how lucky they are, or this, that, and the other, or I'm just tired of the Chiefs, or this, just looking for excuses to discredit this team or say, well, even if they win 3 straight Super Bowls, it's not going to change my opinion of what Patrick Mahomes is. He's still going to be number 2 all time. There's no way he'll pass Brady, even if he gets 7 because he's 0-2. Or, this, that, and the other. Like, we will remember this team and how they've evolved and adapted throughout the years, this 3-year run, as some of the best years of football I've ever seen. Not in terms of like flashiness. This isn't 2018, 2019, 2020, or even 2022. This is about situationally and being able to learn from your mistakes, adapt, and be able to execute in ways that even the Patriots early dynasty would be like, fuck, that's pretty fucking impressive. And people in 5 years, maybe even 10 years, it might take 10 years to be like, you know what? All that narrative bullshit, it was pretty much bullshit. We should have never doubted this. We should not have done this. And that's even if they lose. Even if they lose, they will look back at this and be like, why did we do this? Why did we cover this team this way? So
I think, not to cut you off here,
no,
Dom,
that's kind of the. I had a lot to say.
I think more than anything, people will forget about the fake ass narratives that they've come up with. I mean, you look at it with Tom Brady, like you don't hear, oh, he got caught cheating multiple times. Oh, the ref
Not
told him
anymore.
not here. Yeah, you don't hear it. It's like it never happened, and so I think 10, 15 years down the road from now, Mahomes, they're not going to be talking about the damn right, or maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe they just legitimately hate Mahomes. Maybe there's something. He doesn't quite look or fit the QB1 narrative to where people will completely forget about that biasness. So, I mean, I don't know. Hey, at the end of the day, it is what it is. All I can say is good luck to him for the next 5 to 10 years because Mahomes ain't going nowhere.
Y'all want to know? You want to know? I can answer your question, Ethan.
Oh, I know what it is, but
You know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but I know what it is. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I will. You got no break. That's what it was. You didn't get a break in between. Tom Brady left you, and you thought you had a chance, and lo and behold, Patrick Mahomes comes along, and he says, "This is my league now. You're mine. You belong to me now."
He just took a summer hiatus to let the Bengals think they could run the show. And
you're right. Right. And it boils down to like Ethan said. I think the craziest part about all of this is that people are, gonna hate watch the 3-peat or whatever and not want to see it, And the fact of the matter is we ain't going nowhere. The window has stayed open due in part to the fact that the Chiefs have, like I continue to say, do the right things. They make the right financial moves. They draft well.
Extremely.
They continuously every year get younger at certain positions. Almost 2 years before. Yep. The philosophy you can tell has completely changed, and I don't know if a lot of that has to do with how Clark Hunt likes things run, or basically of how if it's Andy Reid or if it's Brett Veach or whatever. But at some point in our lives, when Clark Hunt took over and Andy Reid came in, there was a plan set in place, to try to achieve greatness at some point in time. And they have done that in every aspect, from the field to the front office. And it ain't ending no time soon. Yeah, maybe next year, maybe we don't get there. Maybe we go out in the first round. Who knows? Whatever.
I think
it's the fact that in 3 years you'll still be having to deal with Xavier Worthy, Rasheed Rice, maybe even Hollywood Brown if they decide to keep him around and come back, or they draft another receiver and bring in another weapon, or who knows who will want to come here and play in free agency, whatever. But the Chiefs have continuously kept the window open by being smart, And I think for a lot of people, they that in the back of your mind, but you don't want to say it out loud. In the back of your mind, like they might three-peat and they're not done.
And you know what? And you know what? Even if they three-peat, they'll still say the same stuff next year. And they'll be praying to the Lord on high that a 10-year gap happens, just like with Tom Brady. Because if there's not a 10-year gap, I'm sorry, folks, you're still going to be miserable.
See, this is where you got to give Veach and Andy credit, is they have been one step ahead tonight. Sorry, they've been one step ahead in this Patrick Mahomes dynasty. I mean, they, when we moved off of Tyreek Hill, we went and we bolstered the defense. And for the past 2 years, that's what's won us the championship. Is we have a championship caliber defense. Our offense, had a little bit to desire there, but when you go out and you draft Rashee Rice in the second, when you go out and you draft a Xavier Worthy in the first, they're moving it back towards that offensive side. And here, next year, the year after that, that offensive side is going to be balling again. And that defense, I mean, they're young. They're going to continue their success. So I mean, I cannot give credit enough to Veach and Andy and all those guys in that front office. They have done a phenomenal job recruiting, bringing in talent, just bringing in what pieces are needed year in and year out. And they continue to do it. And for as long as they continue to do it, and we have 15 back there at quarterback, ain't nobody stopping us. I know it sounds cocky. I know it sounds arrogant, but at the end of the day, until somebody can do it, until we see somebody do it, ain't nobody stopping us.
It's just there's levels, and it took a while for Kansas City to get here, right? I mean, I keep harkening back to this. If you would have told me after watching Marcus Mariota throw a pass and catching it to himself for a touchdown in the wild card game, if you would have told me, hey, don't worry, buddy,
that ain't even the worst of it. That's not
I
even
know.
the worst of it.
I felt like that was my new low when I watched that live,
bro.
in Nashville.
38 to 10
next to Titans
still
fans
bothers me. That Indianapolis game.
Oh,
still
dude, that one, the field goal game against the Steelers, the no punt game against the Colts.
0-3.
Oh, brother, like
as a child, if you would have told me as a 12-year-old kid back then, and after 0-3, you couldn't tell me we was going to the Super Bowl that year. Yeah. Like, as a kid, I was a kid though, so just believing in the team.
But if you would have gone up to me after that Titans loss, I think the thing that stings with me about the Titans loss was Marcus Mariota catching a ball from himself. That's the thing. Like, just saying that out loud is ludicrous. So after that, if future me would have gone up and be like, hey, buddy, we're going to trade Alex Smith. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the starter, and you're going to go to 5 Super Bowls. Like, minimum. I would have been like, you're out of your damn mind.
You're on crack. That's crack.
You're not my future self, and I need to call the police is what I would probably do.
You're smoking big dope.
But that just is a credit to everything. It all led up to it. And just, I think to take this Sunday, obviously we're rooting for the Chiefs. Like, it's obvious. We're a Chiefs podcast. But also to not take moments like these for granted and be like, man, dude, I can't believe I was able to watch a game where my favorite team had the chance at glory. Not just glory, to cement themselves that nobody's done in the Super Bowl era, right? Yeah. Like, they've talked about the Packers, how they did it twice, technically, but not in the Super Bowl era, not in the free agency era. I think that's also a huge thing. Trade, cap space, this, that, and the other. In those Steeler teams in the 70s, those guys are lifers because they just stayed there. With free agency, I mean, you would have never seen like a Barry Sanders go to fucking the Cowboys or go to another great team like Saquon did from the Giants to the Eagles. You wouldn't have seen that back then. With how crazy free agency and the trades have been, like it's kind of set up for everybody has a chance. But the Chiefs have proven to be smart, just like Ethan said, just like DG said, man. And on Sunday, like obviously I think the Chiefs will win, but I'm not taking it for granted to be able to see the team that I grew up loving and just passioning myself for, to see them at a stage like this, just it's unreal.
Yeah, sure. Wouldn't expect to be here at all.
So let's talk about the Super Bowl then. A lot of ranting, a lot of emotion coming out of there, but man, Sunday, Trizzy, what are your keys to the game for our defense?
Well, obviously you got to earn the right to rush. Jalen Hurts kind of make him uncomfortable. I think Saquon, he'll have his shine and sparks. They're a good unit, so he'll pop a little bit. But I do think that we have the ability to put them under wraps. And then last time we played against them, we were able to kind of negate their running backs. But Jalen Hurts had a big day, so I know the defense is kind of looking forward to the challenge. It's a big task in front of us, obviously with Saquon and those pass catchers. Just the scheme and everything with the O line and everything. So it's a tall challenge, but as long as we can be disciplined. Um, Make sure when we do get to Saquon that we are tackling, try to force a turnover here too if we can, try to make it difficult turnover on downs. We're gonna have to fight for 4 downs almost every possession, this week. So it's gonna be important to make sure we get off the field at least one of those, and I think we'll be okay. Offensively, I think we can do what we want to. No disrespect to Vangio and that defense. I think they have some great players, but I think we have a better scheme, and I think we have just a better overall approach on offense than we have the last couple of years. So defensively, as long as we can, make it uncomfortable for the Eagles a little bit, get them in some unfamiliar territory, and I think our offense can play a little defense as well with the way that we've been having ball controls and leading the league in 10-play drives and stuff like that. That just shows the consistency of the efficiency of our offense. So as long as those guys can do that, that can also serve as a defender for us as well.
100%. Ethan, we talk about like X factors and impact players of the game. Now I'm going to eliminate the big three from this game because that's pretty obvious. So who do you think would be the X factor on offense, and who do you think is going to be the X factor on defense?
So I got 2 for offense. I got Kareem Hunt and Pacheco. I think establishing the run, getting out, getting started quick. I think that's one of the biggest keys offensively and defensively to try to slow down, somewhat limit Saquon. You're not going to stop Saquon and that rushing offense for the Eagles, but trying to limit it, making sure that we control the time of possession, play mistake-free football. Defensively, I'm going to have to go with Leo here. Obviously, with Jalen Hurts' ability to run the ball as well as Saquon, I think Leo's going to have to come in and have a heck of a game to be able to kind of neutralize the best that he can on both of those guys. Those are my 2 biggest X factor. Well, 3 biggest X factors, I guess, for this game.
Good choice. Good choices. Now, DG, for this offense to really cook, what do you think are the keys for the offense to really take advantage of Philly's great defense, especially, it's a familiar foe, Vic Fangio. We are not unfamiliar with him since we've played them 8 times, and, we've seen the stats of how we've played against them. But this is an Eagles defense that is the best in the league with great young DBs. And what do you think are going to be the keys for this offense to take advantage?
The first biggest key is stay on time, stay on schedule. Um, Especially in games like this, it's really important for you to stay on schedule. If the Chiefs spend all night in 3rd and 15 and 3rd and 20 and with stupid penalties and stuff like that, or 2nd and 16 or whatever, it's gonna be a long night for them because this is a team that definitely has the front forward to get after you for sure. Jalen Carter's a beast. Nolan Smith has really turned into very prolific pass rusher for them. Josh Sweat at the same time too as well. So they got some guys over there that can really get after it. So if Chiefs do what they do and staying on schedule, I think that they really could have they could really have some success against this defense. We've seen Fangio before. He's nothing new. The biggest thing that Vic Fangio likes to do is take away the big play. Make sure you don't have a lot of explosive plays. You know, so when you think about that, it kind of plays into the Chiefs' hand. All year they've kind of been the methodical, go down the field. I think they've really, especially in these playoffs, leaned into hey, 11, 12, 13 play drives are going to happen at this point. That's who we are. I think last year they had a little bit of an identity crisis and thinking that they were still that explosive, go down the field type team or whatever, score in 4 or 5 plays. And they're just not that. And this year I think they've really leaned into look, we're a methodical 15, 13, 14, 15 play drive team. And if that's how you want to die by 1,000 cuts, we'll do it. You know, and I think that plays into Vic Fangio's defense. Fangio's defense is very successful to the middle of the field. It's very open at points in time. That's probably the weakest point of him playing these type of zones, and I expect the Eagles to try to man up a little bit too as well. I know that that's something they probably seen that from the Chiefs' perspective that sometimes our receivers have a tendency to struggle in man and if in getting separation like that. Not lately, just because Xavier Worthy has been a lot better. I think getting Hollywood Brown back has eliminated that as well too. So the middle of the field is going to be very important. Um, Juju Smith-Schuster, DeAndre Hopkins, Noah Gray, Travis Kelsey, those guys are going to have to do some damage over the middle of the field to kind of get Fangio's defense to kind of funnel in a little bit, get a little bit tighter, and then you may have some of those shots over the top with Xavier Worthy or anything like that, or those crossers or something like that. So stay on schedule. No dumb penalties. It's not the game to be false starting a whole bunch or having certain procedure penalties, legal formations and stuff like that. Stuff that's going to put you behind the sticks. You got to go out there. You got to execute. Um, and just empty the clip. I'm glad that we're at this game now because I know that Andy's the full playbook is gonna be open. There's nothing to hide, nothing to run away from. There's no tomorrow, so call every play on that sheet that you can call. It don't matter what it is. Open it up and let it fly. But and then I think the biggest key, man, is when when the times get dark or you're down or you need a playmate, trust in 15. Just put the ball in his hands and trust him. He's proving you time and time after again that in these clutch moments, in these moments where you need him to make a play, he'll make it. You know. So I think those are the biggest keys. I don't see him blinking at all in this moment. He's built for this moment, prepared for it. The experience is there. He knows what it's like, and when the lights get the brightest, he plays a lot. He plays his best games. So those are keys for me on offensively.
Good points. Good points. I feel like for me personally, I feel like this team should not feel that much pressure. I mean, obviously the historical context there of getting a three-peat is huge, but being able to say I've been here before at least 4 other times, that the main core has been here every step of the way,
Mhm.
that we have veteran leaders that don't know what losing in the playoffs is like. Like, imagine that. George, Trent, Joshua Williams, Sky Moore, even like Leo Chanel, Pacheco, they don't know what losing in the postseason's like. So for me, I feel like what we're gonna see on the field, especially offensively, because I know defense is gonna show up. It might not show up points wise, but when they will make key plays when they have to. But with this offense, I feel like they'll be able to be free and focus and execute pretty much. And we haven't really seen much of D Hop this postseason. I was kind of hyping him up a lot up to the Texans game, and then nothing's really happened except for a catch for 11 yards. But I feel like this is a team and a scheme in Vic Fangio's defense where I feel like it's made for him to really make an impact. And, when 87's out there and he's going to be running the fastest he's ever gone, which could be some of the slowest Travis Kelce runs you've ever seen. But for him to be able to get in space and get open, I also I know this is crazy. I think there's going to be a lateral for a touchdown by Kelce. I for some reason I see that. I feel like they're going to right the wrong of the Kadarius Toney offsides. For some reason, I keep dreaming of that.
Make sure whoever it is catches it.
It's Xavier Worthy. He'll catch that. But
get some Samaje.
That's his favorite one.
Yeah.
But I just think this offense will not be scared. And the thing is, you better not, give them a 10-point cushion, right? Don't be Eagles. Don't try to get up by 10. If you want to try to make sure you want to win, try to get up by 3 scores. If you're thinking it's going to be a blowout, you better make it a blowout, because if it's within 10 points, good luck. Literally, we've seen it 3 times in a row in Super Bowls happen. So, man, I'm just super excited. I feel like these guys were built for it. Like when Mahomes said after they went back to back on that freaking stage, and he was telling Chris and the guys, "Man, I want 3." Just to be able to manifest and believe and work hard and not listen to outside noise and just stick with what your team can do to improve, I think is absolutely incredible. You can never doubt this team. You can never, even if they're up 21-0, we've seen it happen before where they've come back and won. I will never doubt this team unless the clock is 0. And I am so excited to see what's in store for Sunday. This is probably going to be a shorter episode, but do we have any score predictions, or maybe if you want to share some betting ideas for the Chiefs Kingdom? I know I'm definitely going to hit Mahomes' over on rushing yards. That's my one thing I'm going to definitely harp on.
I believe DeAndre Hopkins yards is at 11.5 for this game.
What?
I
11.5.
think it's yards. Let me. I'm a fact check first. I don't like to be wrong or whatever. But
It's 11.5.
That's disrespectful.
yeah,
That is disrespectful.
I haven't bet all playoffs just because I don't like to. I can't focus on my bets and watch the playoff games.
Valid. That's valid.
I can do it more in the regular season because I can kind of focus on the regular season games, and I'm not as invested. But yeah, that bet. If I could just put like $100 just on that alone, I would, because that's That's gotta be a guaranteed bet to hit on. 11.5 yards for DeAndre Hopkins is truly disrespectful. Or whatever. And I know it's probably going off the previous two playoff games and that he hasn't really had that much production or whatever. But to think that in this game that DeAndre Hopkins, if you bet the under on DeAndre Hopkins, just send. Look, I will message you my cash app. You can donate the money to me, okay? Because it's a donation. It got to be a donation. Like it ain't no way that man goes into this game and doesn't have more than 11.5 yards. Go ahead, Tris.
Nah, I like that. I like Xavier Worthy for catches. I think it's like 5 catches. What is Xavier Worthy catches right now? Like 4 or 5, one of them.
It's always somewhere around that.
Yeah, I like him for like 7 catches, and I like his rushing and receiving combined. Um, I got Kareem for an anytime touchdown. And I always say the other team is going to score a lot of touchdowns. Like I put a prop on a player from the other team just because they never score, so it's always bad luck for them. But we don't really need it this game. Eagles. I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told Buffalo. Since we about to, it's a little shorter episode, and Super Bowl coming up. It's not a lot to really talk about. The boys are just ready to play. I'm sure you're ready to get to the game. With the cusp of football immortality and reach and vision and sight. Um, and no disrespect to Philly or, Saquon had an amazing season. NFC champs, revived the Eagles, the super squad, disappointing last year, lost to the Bucks, came back, got Saquon, ran through the league, right? Wrong. Sunday? It'll be time for us all to hit mock draft, but you'll do it a little sooner with a little bit more spite. Listen, Philly fans, it's a great run,
Literally.
but history is on the line. Don't be frustrated. Don't get mad. I told you here first. Cool, calm, and collected. I'm not screaming and yelling at you right now. Okay, just letting you know. When we come back here, when we do the post game, I don't even have to say it.
Oh man. Well, there we go. What a way to end it. Well, obviously, shout out to DG and Trizzy and Ethan for joining us tonight as usual. Every week around Wednesday. Today, this is coming out on Thursday. Just some media stuff was going on, so we wanted to give them their respect and post it today. So you're listening on Thursday. You can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you can hear it, on YouTube at youtube.com/Arrowhead PM podcast. And yeah, this Sunday it's going to, DG.
Before we get out of here, I said it last week too, or 2 weeks ago when we played Buffalo. Don't miss. Don't miss, Billy. I'm telling you, I'm telling you now. Look, the way that some of y'all been talking, I promise you, if y'all win this game, y'all gonna be the happiest y'all ever been. But if y'all lose, I'm I'm trying to tell you now, delete Twitter. If y'all lose, right at the end of this game, it's zeros. When the clock hits triple zeros and the game is over and the confetti is falling for whatever team. If it's the Kansas City Chiefs, delete your accounts. Because I guarantee you, me personally, I will be on a rampage. I hold a lot of stuff in. It's just like when we played Buffalo 2 weeks ago. When we played Buffalo, I held a lot in. I didn't say nothing because it ain't no point in me talking. I don't play on the field. I'm not playing in the game. I can't do nothing. So there's no point in me speaking before the games. But afterwards,
Let's go Chiefs, baby.
Hell yeah.
Super
Guys,
Bowl
thank you so
59,
much.
New Orleans, Louisiana. We back, baby. Let's go.
See you next week, guys.
don't miss.
I put it all on my shoulders. Give 100 till it's over. I told you.